We are starting out maybe one of the most important pieces of business we will do all session. If there is no objection, pursuant to House Rule 2A, Vanessa Riley will be appointed Chief Clerk for the time being. Please. The Secretary of State's office has delivered the certification of the abstract of votes cast in the general election for all candidates for the Colorado House of Representatives for the 75th General Assembly. If there is no objection, the abstract of votes cast for all candidates will not be read at length as it will be printed in the full journal. The Secretary of State's office has also delivered the certification of the abstract of votes cast for members of the Colorado House of Representatives as duly elected by the qualified electors of the state of Colorado. If there is no objection, the certification of duly elected representatives will not be read at length as it will be printed in full in the journal. Mr. Schiebel, please read the communications from the Secretary of State.
State of Colorado, Department of State. I, Jena Griswold, Secretary of State of the State of Colorado, certify that I have canvassed the abstract of votes cast submitted in the State of Colorado and do state that, to the best of my knowledge and belief, the attached list represents the total votes cast for the members of the Colorado State House of Representatives for the 75th General Assembly by the qualified electors of the State of Colorado in the November 5th, 2024 general election. In testimony whereof, I have set my hand and affixed the Great Seal of the State of Colorado at the City of Denver this 6th day of December 2024, signed Jena Griswold, Secretary of State. State of Colorado, Department of State. I, Jena Griswold, Secretary of State of the State of Colorado, certify that I have canvassed the abstract of votes cast submitted in the State of Colorado and do state that, to the best of my knowledge and belief, the persons listed on the attached list were duly elected to the office of Colorado State House of Representatives by the qualified electors of the State of Colorado in the November 5th, 2024 general election. In testimony whereof, I have set my hand and affixed the Great Seal of the State of Colorado at the City of Denver this 6th day of December 2024, signed Jena Griswold, Secretary of State.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Committee on Credentials be appointed.
The question before the House is the appointment of the Committee on Credentials. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The motion passes. Majority Leader Duran will serve as chair, Assistant Majority Leader Bacon, and Minority Leader Puglisi will serve on the Committee on Credentials. Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the Committee on Credentials please join me in the well?
Majority Leader Duran.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on Credentials has met and has made its report. I request the report be read.
Mr. Schiebel, please read the report.
The Committee on Credentials has made an examination of the certificate from the Secretary of State and finds that the lists of representatives elected at the general election held on November 5th, 2024, as certified by the Secretary of State of the State of Colorado, is a true, complete, and authentic list of all representatives elected at said general election for the term provided by law, and said persons do truly possess the constitutional and statutory qualifications and are entitled to membership in this body as aforesaid, pursuant to law in such case made and provided. Signed, Majority Leader Monica Duran, Chair, Assistant Majority Leader Jennifer Bacon, and Minority Leader Rose Puglisi.
Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Credentials.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the report of the Committee on Credentials? Seeing objection, members, we are going to allow 5 minutes for discussion of any objection to the Credentials Committee report, and then we will allow another 5 minutes for a response. Representative DeGraaf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The objections that I have is to the system in general that we have called the gold standard, and which I call the gold standard of security theater, which is actions and countermeasures that create a feeling of security among people without actually improving their safety. So what we have is we have SB 22-153 that was codified into CRS 1-13-708 that was stated plainly that any person who knowingly publishes or causes to be published passwords or other confidential information relating to a voting system shall immediately have their authorized access revoked and be guilty of a Class 3 felony, in addition to USC Code 44-3572 that makes compromising classified information an offense punishable by 5 years in jail. These, of course, are AG issues, which he has not pursued. But what we have as a problem with this, with the gold standard, which was rendered relatively worthless from its 26 May 2023 certification by a complete compromise of the BIOS passwords, which would lasted at least 4 months publicly and lasted probably by the security standards that were failed to be implemented, the federal security standards under FISMA, that had been violated for probably the duration of that time, rendering the certification effectively void. So I won't get into all that we're only given 5 minutes, but CRS 1-5-601.5, all voting systems shall meet the voting system standards. And this is to the keys to the kingdom as referred by the AG's team. And these systems were not. The system in general before the breach on 26 May 2023 was only certified to substantially comply with the requirements of the voting system standards from 2002. Yet the CRS 1-5-601.5 states plainly that all voting systems shall meet the voting system standards that were promulgated. That means all, not some, not most, not substantially. 2002 voting system standards 2.2.5.2 states that election audit trails provide the supporting documentation for varying the correctness of reported election results. They present a concrete, indestructible archival record of all system activities related to the vote tally and are essential for the public confidence and accuracy. And violations of these are considered civil rights violations. So I think but yet we have a system that regularly deletes these records, a system that deletes the records of voting, which include log records, which include error messages. All of the records are specified that they must be retained. So what we have is a system that we've referred to as the gold standard, and then we say it only substantially meets those requirements. We're not told which requirements that are not met. We're just told that it's substantial, and then we have a violation of our FISMA that governs the password protection. Now, FISMA is a federal law that sets forth requirements for the security of federal information, and NIST is a federal agency that is responsible for developing and promoting the technology. NIST 800-53 is a master control set up by all state cyber and data protection laws are based. States are legally required to comport with FISMA through FIPS 199-200 in the Federal Green Book. All reference standards NIST controls for any entity receiving public funds through a contractor grant. Executive order under President Obama issued 1355-56 entitled Controlled Unclassified Information ordered that our data would be protected in accordance with this manner. And publishing that data on an unsecured website highlights the
Representative DeGraaf, you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It highlights the lack of confidence that we can have in this system despite calling it the gold standard through which promulgating that lie. So we need to know who supplied the passwords, who supplied that. The governor illustrated quite plainly the very clear and present danger of insider threat by bypassing all levels of security, taking a partisan team and sending them past security to update and fix machines. And I think now, unless you can investigate, you can't find fraud. And what we have is a system that you can't investigate. So there's a lot more, obviously, and in a minute I'm not going to be able to cover all the citations, but the system is broken. Colorado deserves a system that works. Thank you.
Representative Bottoms, I agree to allow 5 minutes for a discussion of any objection, but I see that you are interested in speaking. I will allow another 2 minutes for the objection. Please proceed. Representative Bottoms.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is pretty simple. I'll just use one example. I don't think anybody in this room, and I'm not assuming that anybody in this room was not duly elected, because I have no proof of that. So assuming that everybody here was duly elected, we still know the system is very broken and the laws were broken. When the passwords were released, they were released to every county except one. I have no proof that any of those passwords were used to do anything. Nobody else has proof of that. But I think it would be naive to assume that at least one person did not change at least one vote. And that means that laws were broken and there should be legal criminal investigations into the Secretary of State's office about this whole thing. And therefore, I'm very uncomfortable certifying this election.
Speaker Pro Tem Basenecker, we will allow 7 minutes for your response.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
Good morning, members. Good morning, guests. Welcome to the General Assembly. It is my privilege to be able to speak to this motion and, quite frankly, the opposition that I believe is unwarranted and certainly unprecedented in this chamber. It is my belief that opposition to this motion is, quite frankly, dangerous to our democracy. We've seen what happened when Congress went down this same path 4 years ago and elected officials refused to certify results. We should not go down that same road here in the state of Colorado. There has been bipartisan agreement that the posting of these passwords was indeed a serious incident. And I have heard and I know that the Secretary of State's office deeply regrets the mistakes made in the posting of those passwords. Let me be clear, though. Voting machines were not at risk. Because of the steps we have taken here in this body, often on party line votes, to improve and secure our election security, any attempts to use these passwords would have needed to have been made in person. And as you might know from the bill we passed in relation to a specific act by a specific county clerk, in-person access is strictly controlled, and there are both video and other access logs to the rooms where those voting machines are secured. Since the passwords were posted, the logs have been checked, and the department has confirmed alongside our bipartisan county clerks that no voting machines, let me say that again, no voting machines in the state of Colorado were tampered with. There have also now been 2 investigations that have determined that this was indeed a mistake. One from an independent law firm and one from the Denver District Attorney's Office. Our elections have been certified by county clerks from across the state. They have repeatedly said, to our benefit, that the votes were counted accurately in each and every election. In addition, Colorado has for years, and this election was no exception, conducted post-election audits, and recounts are mandatory in certain instances. Members of this body were a party to that process in several different races. We use paper ballots, which canvass boards can look at to determine voter intent. This is indeed the gold standard, which remains as such. I have not heard any evidence presented as a member of the Legislative Audit Committee, as a member of this body for the last 4 sessions, or today, that presents any evidence that shows that these votes were inaccurately counted. I have not heard any evidence presented that the outcomes documented in this report were inaccurately determined. And I have not heard one contest from an elector in our state to the results of any of these elections. This vote is simply to confirm the results of the 2024 election, and that those results and those votes were accurately reported to us, and that the representatives elect in this chamber were duly elected and should be sworn in. If anyone disagrees with that, I would like to know which races in particular were subject to inaccurate vote counting, which races are indeed invalid in our state, because the evidence simply is not there. Opposition to this motion is hard to understand as anything other than a denial of our elections and an attempt to reverse the will of the people of Colorado. It is my belief, it is my urge to all of you, my ask, that this chamber must stand against election denialism. I urge that we adopt the report of the Credentials Committee. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Members, we will now proceed to a vote on the report of the Committee on Credentials. If there is no objection, we will proceed to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. There is an objection. We will proceed to a roll call of names. Members, we have not yet been sworn in. We cannot use the electronic voting machine. I will be calling your names individually.